Be the right club. Be the right club today.
Yes! Johnny, that's better than most. How about in? That is better than most. Better than most! Expect anything different?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the No Laying Up live from the Kill House. This is the U.S. Women's Open halfway show. My name is Randy, and we have a good one on the hand for you tonight. Let me introduce you to who's on screen with me. If you happen to be watching live, if you're listening, it'd still be a great show for you. Mr. TC Tron Carter, how are you, my man?
I am great, Randy. What a couple of days it's been. Shout out to all the people of the greater Philadelphia area. It's the Gap. It's been awesome.
And Cody McBride, Sarge, how have you enjoyed the first couple days?
It's amazing, Big. This is exactly what we wanted. This is what we signed up for. Unfortunately, some big numbers out there, but I could not be more excited about how we've seen this course, 36 holes in, and kind of the leaderboard that we have. I know it might shock some people, but I'm jacked, man.
Yeah. Even we'll get to it, but a ton to be excited about. Last but not least, right now, Jordan Perez. Listen, some amateurs are bucking their head, and who else to educate us, to let us know about these amateurs than Miss Jordan Perez? How are you doing this evening?
I'm pumped, guys. Last year on the amateur front, we weren't doing so hot. Wasn't that much excitement in terms of low-am, but this year we've got quite the race, and I'm just pumped. I'm excited. Along with a great week of golf, I mean, nothing better than a good low-am race. That's for sure.
Amen.
It sounds like somebody's dog's excited too.
Yeah, my dog's
That
pumped.
JP's dog?
Yep.
I love it.
Joining us in just a bit, they're hanging out. They are going to. You want to talk about a call to the bullpen? We have a couple great guests waiting in the wings. Excuse me. Two women that participated in the U.S. Open the last time it was at Lancaster. Jane Park and Marina Alex. They are going to bring the heat here in just a bit. But before we get there, Cody, tonight's live show brought to you, all the listeners, all the viewers, by our good friends at YETI.
That's right. YETI coolers big, but they got a lot more than just coolers. They got cups, they got koozies, they got new French presses. They got a bunch of stuff, man. I want everybody to head on over to YETI.com, shop their complete product line. And I want to just say a big thank you to YETI. They're our presenting sponsor of all of our LPGA content all year long. We're able to go to events with their help. We're able to bring us these extra LPGA only shows because of them, and specifically the LPGA podcast. Couldn't be more appreciative of YETI. So please, everybody, go over, check them out. You can still get some custom engraving, customization stuff done if you're looking for Father's Day options, or just send a link. You know, if you're a dude sitting there and like, hey, I'm a dad, what am I going to get for Father's Day? Send a link over, you know, help them help you. That's what I love. So YETI, I appreciate their support. They're definitely helping us. But what else we got big? I think we're going to have another sponsor like later on in the show. You want to give them a shout out now?
Absolutely. FootJoy. We're going to have a moment of joy these major weeks. They're always fun. So we'll be highlighting our own moments of joy a little later in the show. And that's brought to you again by FootJoy, the official shoe, glove, and rainwear partner of No Laying Up. So, how did we get here? I know everybody watching, I will keep the recap quick, but for those listening, for those that have not been able to catch the first 2 days, quickly, Nelly Korda sent shockwaves through the tournament, through anybody watching on Thursday morning. Her third hole of the tournament, the par 3 12th, she made a 7 over 10, including, 3 balls in the water, and just completely unexpected. From there, she just was not able to right the ship. She ended up shooting a first round 80. She was not alone, though, among star-studded names really struggling with this Lancaster layout. Rose Zhang would shoot a 79. Brooke Henderson would shoot an 80. Lydia Ko would shoot an 80. In fact, crazy stat, The 10 highest ranked players in the field averaged a 75.5 stroke average Thursday, just to give you an idea of how difficult it was. But there were people that played really well. Amazingly, a number of amateurs. We saw recent NCAA Division I champion Adela Cernusik. She shot a 1 under 69. 15-year-old Asterix Talley shot an even par 70. She was joined by U.S. AM champion Megan Schofield and USC's Catherine Park. But leading the way was Japan's Yuka Sasso. She's the 2021 U.S. Women's Open champion from Olympic Club in San Francisco. She shot a 2 under 68. Her flat stick was amazing. She gained over 5 strokes on the green. The only 3 other women under par were, let's see, I mentioned Adela Cernusik. We had Andrea Lee shot a 1 under 69, and Thailand's Wikini Mikai shot a 69. Now, fast forward to Friday, we still only have 4 players under par. Thailand's Winiki Mikai is setting the pace. She's 4 under. Andrea Lee, some theatrics eagle hole out, which we'll get to. She shot another 69. She's at 2 under. 2 U.S. Open champions, the aforementioned Yuka Sasso and now Minji Lee, are both at 1 under par. They are lurking. And then we have a collection of 8 women at 1 over par. We'll get deep into the leaderboard in just a second. Gentlemen, Lancaster has obviously been...
And ladies.
Has been a star of the show. I'm curious, what has been the biggest takeaway, the biggest thing you've learned through these first 2 days? Tron, can I start with you, please?
Yeah. It's that the USGA still has some backbone in them, that, you know, it's not the kinder, softer, gentler USGA. They still got some grit there. But more importantly, I know she missed the cut, but I learned that Nellie's got some dog in her. Starting, shot 80, faced the media afterwards, answered things, was classy, was composed, was still confident, comes back out today, shoots even par, flirted with making the cut. And I don't know, I thought that was as cool as seeing her win. Was, you get punched in the face a little bit by the golf course, and she didn't complain, she didn't whine about it, she took it and is moving forward and using it to get better. And I think she will get better, through the year. She's, she'll probably win 2 or 3 of these things by the time the year's done.
Yeah, for sure. You can put a lot of emphasis on that 10, but it was just a sloppy day all around. She even said that it was just a bad day in the office. And I think that resonates with a lot of normal people out there. And it's kind of crazy to think that, she seems to have, she has her game figured out so far this year, and there hasn't been that many bad days. And the days that we thought like, oh, Nellie's out there with her C or D game, they're still right around even par. But, I think the biggest thing around this course is that you're going to get exposed if you're out of position. And she, that the 12th hole is not just like, that's what a lot of people are going to remember, but she also made like 6 bogeys on the round. She had 3 birdies, but that opening stretch is just, I could not have envisioned a worse start to this U.S. Women's Open, not just for Nellie, but probably for the championship. There's a lot riding on Nellie performing at this championship. But overall, man, TC, I echo everything that you said about her play today. I mean, she fought, and she could have laid down her cards and just said, hey, this is it. But man, she put herself in position to like truly make this cut, and a couple putts dropping here and there, she would have been right there. But man, I'm impressed as somebody could be, not expecting to miss the cut. It was great to see.
Yeah, Nellie shot second round 70, even par, 10 shots better. I mean, of course, if you give her even a bogey on that par 3 12th on Thursday, she's 4 over par and certainly within striking distance. So, Jordan, a number of amateurs are showing out. They've shown up. They're showing out. What do we need to know about? I think the 3 big ones here heading into the weekend: Asterix Talley, Megan Schofield, and Catherine Park. What can you tell us about each of those young ladies?
Wow. Yeah. This is a phenomenal group of AMs. 4 made the cut this year, which was really cool. The only other actually that you mentioned earlier was NCAA champ Adela Cernosic, who made it right on the number. She shot 79 today. She had a pretty tough time out there. But as far as those who are really in this low AM race, so we've got Astris Talley, the 15-year-old that everybody's talking about, who shot 70, 71, T5. 1 over. Megan Schofield also shot 70, 71, 5 shot. They're both 5 shots back at 1 over. And then Catherine Park is T13, 70, 72, 2 over, and is 6 shots back. And maybe, of winning a US Women's Open, who knows? Anything could happen, right? But in terms of the slow am race, there is some serious legitimacy to it. So when I look at all of these players, first of all of them played ANWA, all have a really high level of pedigree, have all won some big time events. And I think, you look at Astris, yes, she's the 15-year-old who's really impressed, won Sage Valley, finished TA at ANWA. I think one of the coolest things I remember that Astris did was she had like a 5-foot par putt at Champions to make the cut at ANWA, and then I think she made like a 25-footer to top 10, which was just the coolest thing ever. But I think this week in particular, I mean, her mental game has really showed out a lot. She just looked really composed, which she's told media that she's been nervous, but she looks fine. And she's actually, I think I want to say in the second round, she exceeded the field in driving distance, which I was just like, they're coming. Like, I know
That's
we talk about the
crazy.
juniors. We talk about the juniors on like the men's side a lot, who have kind of emerged and have played a lot of sponsors exemptions and have shown out. But they're really showing out on the women's side too, and it's incredible. Asterisk is such a testament to that. Megan Schofield played at Auburn, won the U.S. Women's Am, got into this event by that. An incredible ball striker. That's basically how she won at Bel Air, and had played fine in her final year at Auburn. But I'm fairly certain she's waiting around for that Curtis Cup in a few months, and she'll actually be playing in that by virtue of her win at the Women's Am, I want to say. But yeah, just such an incredible player. Doesn't hit it the farthest, but I'm certainly not surprised that she's in this mix. Catherine Park from USC, notoriously great driver, iron player. But ever since she got to USC, she's really honed in a lot on her putting. I remember hearing her talk about at one point last year when USC made it to that championship match at Greyhawk, the last year Greyhawk, when they played Wake Forest. USC was really, really focused in on wedge playing for every single player. It's kind of interesting. There's this template of player that goes through USC and the things that they focus on. But I don't know. It was really impressive to watch Catherine these past few months. She struggled just a little bit early in the spring, but it really came together at the end. She won 2 big titles, won a Pac-12, and yeah, and then qualified, I want to say, for the US Women's Open. I don't know if it was on her birthday or right before her 20th birthday, but she's one of those players that also in a similar position to Megan Schofield would be a fantastic fit for that Curtis Cup team. So excited to watch them.
Shout out to Catherine. She was playing she played the back nine in under par today. She also played the first 2 days with Carlota Saganda, the slowest player in the field. And I think they were on the clock for at least 18 of the 36 holes they played together. So props to her for battling through that.
Jordan, let me ask you this: of those three, it's so difficult for an AM to really hang around through 72 holes at a difficult U.S. Open. Would any surprise you? Would any shock you if they were like front page of the leaderboard Sunday? What are your expectations for the weekend?
No, could it be an Ingrid Lindblad situation just a few years ago at Pine Needles? Perhaps. But I wouldn't be surprised if any of these players really did hang in. If I had to think of anybody who might emerge from that group of 3 at the top, I would think it would be Catherine Park. But I'm so open to any of them just freaking crushing it. This is a really exciting crop of players. I'm just grateful from last year, because last year Loam had very little juice. So I'm just happy to see them up there on the leaderboard. Please, anybody, run away with it at this point.
I agree, JP. But looking at stats wise, and I want to give a quick shout out to the USGA and of course everything that we get for this event. Stats wise, putting not good. So we shout out her short game, which strokes gain, short gain is like top 20. I think she's 16th right now, but strokes gain putting 98, giving up strokes there. It's kind of wild because even like coverage that I've seen, it seems like when she's on the screen, she's making every putt, but that's clearly not the case. So I mean, if she starts actually like making a third of these chances that she's actually getting, like you're right, she could be the one that starts climbing up here and separates herself from the rest of the amateurs.
Yeah, it's certainly the Achilles heel in her game, kind of similar to Amari Avery when she got to USC. They had some parallel weaknesses, but yeah, if Catherine can turn it on, I really think she will be up there on Sunday.
Awesome. Jordan, thank you. We're gonna bid you adieu, and we're gonna bring in a couple guests now, if that's all right.
That's all right. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you, Jordan.
Thanks, JP.
Joining us, two guests, good friends. I can't think of anybody better to help us really get into the action over these first couple days. The first is Jane Park. Okay, she's the 2004 U.S. Amateur Champion. She actually finished tied for 5th here at Lancaster in 2015. Jane is a good friend of the program.
Lancaster.
She's one of the best. She's one of the best women in golf. I can't see her face right now.
TC. We're gonna throw him off. I think he's reading from a script or something like that. Incredible introduction. The fabulous Jane Park. TC, we're going to get an apology from Big before the show is over. You got to pronounce the name right.
I literally, I can't say it. Jane, how do you've played here. How do you say the name of this golf course?
Can we first discuss how much you butchered Wichani's name?
Hold on. I mean, before we get there, let's spice this up even more. Big. I think we have another guest too that we're going to bring in.
We do. Let's just bring her in. Let's just get everybody in here to shit on me. Two-time LPGA winner. She was actually a co-first round leader in 2015. That's of course Marina.
Let's go, Marina.
Hey, let's go. Wichani, Michai.
Yeah, anything you'd like to point out that I've messed up so far? Just please.
Dude, it wasn't even close, man.
It was not. I give you a lot of credit for trying, but I didn't know if we should have interrupted you there or let it ride, but we let it ride.
No, I like to say it's a bit. You know, I'm terrible at pronunciation, so we'll just go with it. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us truly on a Friday night. I know you have much other stuff, more important stuff going on, so we thank you.
Never.
Let me ask you this, Marina.
Yes.
What do you remember from 2015? And how much different do you think this golf course is playing this year than it did, what would that have been, 9 years ago?
9 years ago. I mean, and Jane could probably back me up on this. I think on the onset of just watching, the conditions look a lot firmer and faster. I do remember being able to hold greens. I mean, it's weird. Like, I look at the game that I brought in as, like, whatever, a second-year LPGA player, and I had a first-round co-lead with Kari Webb, which is wild because she's, like, Jane and I both discuss, like, pure idol from a golf perspective, and shooting 4 under. No one shot 4 under out there yet. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, that's not been out there. So, and we were all kind of waiting for that. And I think the conditions just firmed out, which is great. I think that kind of speaks to the improvement of golf over the course of, let's say 9-10 years. Distance, length, ability to generate spin. I actually think that it really echoes, where the game needs to be, and we're kind of there with it. I felt like the game I have now versus 9 years ago, like I don't necessarily know if I could play this course and shoot 4 under again. And I'm a much better golfer now than I was then. I mean, so it kind of just speaks to the improvement of golf across the board.
Yeah. Jane, let me ask you this. Is this a proper US Open test? Is this what you like to see? Is the course too difficult? Has it been unfair in your opinion?
No. It's a great test of golf, obviously. And I mean, we're all used to seeing carnage during US Open, and that's what we tune in for. when the guys were struggling at Shinnecock, that was like amazing golf watching. So, yeah, I mean, you obviously, you've got a lot of top players that are struggling, but it's really hard to get fully prepared, I think, when you're playing in these majors, and you almost have to be like, man, it's hard for everyone, and it's not only going to be hard for me. And coming in with that mindset is, I think, really huge. And plus, on this golf course, you don't really have to hit it far to score well. You just have to be really precise with your irons, good distance control, and obviously lag all of your 6-footers. That's how I did it, man. I I lagged every putt.
So Jordan was talking about Kathy, and like at the end of the day, her iron game is statistically going to propel her through the weekend. It is not about making lengthy putts. Like, that's not going to happen at this golf course. Just with the slope, the undulation, you're trying to hit precise irons that are below or pin high that you can continue to 2-putt hole after hole and just wear the entire golf course in the field down with ball striking. And she has proven that. Like, I don't know where those stats are coming from, but truly, like, that will take her into the weekend, probably more than any other amateur, and most likely more than any other professional. If she has that much control of her ball striking game, she doesn't need to hole putts. Even if her strokes gained on the green is not statistically great, I don't necessarily think that's going to stop her from being a really big contender in this weekend, and ultimately having a really great championship run.
Jane and Marina, who do you see on this leaderboard, whether it's Andrea Lee or Minji or Yuka or someone, say in the top 20, top 30 even, that could rise up? Like, whose game kind of fits that mold of pretty accurate, great iron player, gritty? Because it's probably, I mean, really looking at the forecast, it's probably only going to get harder too, right? Like, it's supposed to be sunny the next 2 days. Wind's still up. It's going to be more of what we've seen Thursday and Friday. So who do you have your eye on?
I think Anna Nordquist is a good one to watch. She's so solid, and she kind of rises to the occasion in these big events. She's not afraid of the big moments. But she is a grinder, and she's an excellent putter. Yeah, that's one of my picks. And obviously Minji and Yuka are right up there, and they know the big moments too. So I'm just so excited to watch. And obviously, Wichani Michai. What did you say earlier? That was so bad.
I don't even know.
Marina and I were just kind of shit talking you, like, on our little text thread.
I said Wakani, Wachan. Yeah.
No,
anyway,
it wasn't even that close.
What's her game? You guys know her. I have to admit, a name that I recognize, but I don't really know her game. Haven't watched a lot of her play. Does this really surprise you? Is she a very good iron player? How would you assess her game, and how much of a surprise is it to see her atop the leaderboard?
You can fact check me if I'm wrong on this, but I think she had a really great finish at Mizuho 2 weeks ago. I'm not positive on that. I thought she finished third. Wachani is a ball striker. I mean, she hits it far. She has solid control of her irons. It's not shocking, if she's got good game off the tee, hitting majority of her fairways. She has enough length that she's hitting a shorter iron into the green, maybe relative to the field, that it doesn't shock me she's up at the leaderboard. I mean, she's had really, I feel like, knocking on the door, solid game, maybe trying to build that own internal confidence of, who am I? I'm out here. I've been out here for a while. Is this my time? And maybe she's tapping into that a little bit more than she has in the past, but I mean, not shocking at all. I really don't think so. I mean, I see a lot of the Thai players have total complete games. A majority of them are multiple time winners. So, it's not like, who is she? Where has she come from? I think she's been there, maybe just not as in the eyes of everyone here out following women's golf in, a day-to-day, but definitely has been there for years, just kind of tapping on that door, waiting to kind of push through.
Mhm. I mean, she's won, not on the LPGA tour, but she's won 5 or 6 times on worldwide tours. So, she knows how to win. And she's been on the LPGA since 2016, I believe. But just watching her today and yesterday, she looks so confident over the ball, and she just like a lot of the girls are very tentative with their swings, but she is just ball striking the shit out of it right now. Her irons, man, it's amazing. It's amazing to watch someone swing that freely in such a like a big moment. And you just kind of wonder if she's gonna continue that over the weekend with all the, pressure that's gonna be present.
How far back is too far back, you feel?
That's a great question.
Not out there in those conditions.
Mm-mm.
I mean, I would say 3 or 4 over is definitely not a stretch. If any of those in that category piece together 2 really solid rounds on a Saturday and Sunday, get themselves back to level par or possibly 1 under, like that is not out of the realm of possibility by any means.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So we saw Wachani. Is that right? Wachani?
Wachani Michai.
Yeah,
Wachani
Wachani.
Michai.
Whenever I don't really know, I try to
Wachani.
say it as fast as
Wachani.
I can. But
Marina,
for
what's
those
her nickname?
watching,
Oh, she does not. I don't think she has one.
Because all the
she
Thai
is-
girls have a nickname.
I know, but I only know her as Wachani.
well, she's leading the field right now in shots gained approach at
Yeah.
plus 4.2. So no surprise, speaks to her exceptional iron play. Let me ask you this: how difficult is it to sleep on a 36-hole lead? I mean, it's difficult in any situation, I imagine, but in a U.S. Open on this hard of a setup, I can't imagine. Take me inside to like what she might be thinking and feeling, and how easy is it when a little doubt seeps in and maybe she makes a double tomorrow? Like how quickly can it all kind of crack and go sideways?
You take
Are
it,
you-
Marina.
Am I taking that? Well, that kind of
take
like
it.
maybe might have been 2015. I honestly, that's so long ago. I remember playing well the first and relative second day, but ended up finishing like maybe middle of the pack by the time the whole weekend was over. So yeah, it definitely happens when you don't have experience with that, when you don't have experience with contention at an event or let alone a major championship like Lancaster, where all the elements are being thrown at you, like it's testing your whole game physically, mentally. Yeah, you're gonna probably crack. It just depends on how much you've prepared for that in terms of calming yourself down, regrounding yourself, trusting yourself. That is kind of where the difference lies in those who are major champions and those who are really great, exceptional golfers. And I am not discrediting anyone ever who hasn't run a major championship, because that's a bulk of us, right? We've not won majors. It doesn't mean we're bad at golf by any means, but it just means that we haven't quite figured out how to take the uncomfortable and make it truly comfortable. And that is kind of a skill that is acquired, but also maybe like inherent in just who you are as a player and a person. And, I'm not Wachani may be that. Like I have no idea. Like we need to let that see how that unfolds over the next 2 days.
Yeah, she
Speaking
looks
of a
like she's in the
couple-
zone.
Speaking of
Yeah,
a couple
she does.
players who have won majors, Minjee Lee, Yuka Sasso, who like kind of walk us through that. What are you seeing from them over the next couple of days?
Go ahead, Jane.
Let me just piggyback. It feels like to me the tournament's right there at
Yeah.
1
Oh,
under,
yeah.
and no disrespect to even Andrea at 2 under, but it seems like Yuka and Minjee, like that's what we're watching tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, man, it obviously I love watching Minjee swing the golf club, and same with Yuka. I mean, she's like the female Rory with her golf swing, and it's just so it's awesome to watch. But I mean, the leaderboard looks great. It's gonna make for a really great weekend. And honestly, I just want to watch more carnage.
Thank
Jane,
you.
me and you both. Yeah,
I just want to watch more carnage because that's what, I don't know. The U.S. Open has always always correlated with like difficulty. And Mike Davis was setting up a lot of these courses, and I don't know. I kind of want Mike Wan to just go like crazy.
Well, it's
He might.
filling such a void for golf fans, I think, right now, where it seems like it's impossible to create carnage on the men's side because the equipment is out of balance, and they just can't push the course enough to where until they lose it, basically. And I think it's kind of one of those things where it's like, doesn't matter if it's men's golf, women's golf, whatever. I want to see the US Open at least every other year or every few years be the US Open that we knew growing up, where everybody's playing with a little bit of fear. And it's not just, hey, I'm going to hit golf shots. It's no, like I'm in this battle of wills against myself and the golf course and the field and the USGA. And credit to all the ladies out there. Like, it seems like there's been not a lot of complaining. And, it seems like really, other than some shots at 12 yesterday, like it's not like there's any one hole that's catching everybody. It's just a stern test, start to finish.
Yeah, I think that, if I'm being perfectly frank, I don't feel we play tests regularly enough other than major championships. So I think it's very easy for players to get in the mindset of attack and birdie because that is the game that we are playing week in and week out. It's make as many birdies as you can. It does not, there's very little consequence to anything else. And then you get to a major like this week, or probably any of the majors moving forward. Like, I can't imagine Sahali will be a whole lot different than this week. And it's just, you need to totally revamp your mental game. It's not attack, but sometimes you don't even realize what you're doing. You're kind of just in that mode of like, I'm going to go for this pin, or I'm going to, I have a wedge in my hand, like whatever the case may be. Like, you're not totally thinking about the consequence of what will be if you don't execute. And I think that happens to some of these top players because they're trying to win tournaments week in and week out. And I totally understand they're not being maybe tested enough from the penalty standpoint. And then when these majors come, they're like, whoops, this was a mistake. And I totally, I am not like judging them by any means, because I've found that that's happened where you get very accustomed to routine pars, even if you've miscued, and then you're out there and you're like, whoa, I've miscued, and like, I better hope I make a bogey, double. And I think that's where I really wish that we would play a few more times a year where, the errors matter, and sometimes those errors don't matter. And that's not something we're used to week in and week out. So I think that's kind of where you see, kind of a discrepancy in just why are players not at the top, or like what's happening. And, this week was a super challenge. I mean, from my memory, and Jane can attest to that, this course is really hard, whether it's soft or firm or not. Like, it requires every single test of your game. And I think that's where everyone is just kind of like, whoops, I don't think I came into this with enough respect of like, what the course was entailing. And it entails a lot of discipline. It entails a lot of mental discipline to hit the correct shots off the tee and the correct shots into the green, and not try and be aggressive, because this is not an aggressive course. You're making pars everywhere, and you're maybe capitalizing on par fives. And that's kind of like the game you're playing.
And trying to stay away from those big numbers, which obviously there have been a lot of big numbers. But yeah, I feel like piggybacking on what Marina said, you're pretty much playing defense on a course like this. And if you make a bunch of pars at the end of the week, you're going to be pretty close to the lead. So yeah.
Let me ask you something as competitors. and kind of tying into the themes that you're talking about, what's it like though if if you do start making a couple bogeys, let's say you have a double, fighting that instinct to like, oh God, I gotta chase birdies now. I gotta try to get back to level par. Can it almost create like a vicious cycle where you get too aggressive? Because it's fascinating that we're sitting here on Friday night and in the top 20, we have 3 amateurs and only one of the top 20 ranked players from the Rolex rankings. I can't remember a major like this. And I'm just curious if that's kind of coincidence or if it's, Marina, to your point, these top ranked players are just kind of not used to this style of play and maybe start pressing and it just can kind of snowball on them.
You want to take it, Jane, or you want me to take
No,
it?
you take it.
They're like, please, I
haven't
don't want to
played
talk
it
about other
forever,
players.
so.
I mean, it's a bit of both. Like every player out here has game, right? Whether that's Yuka, Minji, Hannah Green, Nelly Korda, like they're exceptionally good golfers. They are unbelievably good golfers. I just think that everything that comes with winning a US Open, it brings a lot to the table. You're a US Open champion, all of these things. The amateurs, it's amazing how great they're playing, but they're also not playing for the same stakes that a professional golfer is playing for at the end of the day. They're getting maybe some amateur world ranking, they're getting notoriety for that 100%, and I'm not discrediting their game. They're all solid players. I know that. I've watched Catherine play at Seminole and years ago at a college event. I mean, she's an unbelievable golfer. I know that she's going to be a great player down the road, but at the end of the day, you've got a lot of long earned, battle hard players that have been on the LPGA for years trying to make a name for themselves. And there's a lot of individual pressure that goes along with that. And, you're trying to be the US Open champion at the end of the day. That's a hard feat. That requires every single element of you physically, mentally, and emotionally. Like you need to be firing on all cylinders to make that happen. And I think there's just a lot of self-induced pressure, whether that's acknowledged or unacknowledged, that kind of, makes things turn out as they turn out. And I think it's the player that can kind of just push that all aside and say, I'm going to play my game today. And honestly, like Yuka, I was super fortunate to be paired with her the first 2 days at Olympic. And I had never met her before. I'd never seen her game. And I was totally mind blown by how good of a driver of the golf ball she was. I mean, she just absolutely crushed it off the tee, both distance but accuracy. She hit, and you could go back to strokes gained off the tee. It was probably off the charts at Olympic what she did. But then she also putted unbelievably, and that kind of echoed round one that we saw yesterday. And I really have a lot of faith in her for the next 2 days, because at the end of the day, if she's going to drive it well, both with length and accuracy, that's going to be tough to beat. And she feels confident with her putter. So, it's a really lethal combo when you're feeling good.
It feels like kind of a good comp to just, I think at Olympic, there's a lot of elevation change. Like you're hitting a lot of uphill iron shots. There's some wind out there. It seems like that's kind of the challenge at Lancaster. You're hitting uneven lies. You're hitting uphill, downhill, firm green. You're trying to keep it below the hole as well. Distance control is huge. And yeah, I mean, it seems like that's definitely something that's, prevalent in her game. And question for you guys, as far as like the week to week LPGA tour, is that a setup issue on the tour, or is that a venue issue to where some of these venues, they just can't set up in a way that really challenges? And I think for LPGA, it seems like it's tougher to set up than maybe for the men's game, because you can kind of err on either side. Like you can set it up too long. Like there's a lot of more variables, it seems like, with the women's game, with the spread in distance from, the shortest player in the field to the longest player in the field. Right. But like setting aside Palos Verdes, Wilshire, Founders every year, maybe Shadow Creek, it doesn't seem like there's that many courses that they can set up to really, challenge the best players in a way that's different from the week to week.
Yeah, I guess I would agree with that. Like,
Sorry, just a
no,
question
it's
of
weird
yeah.
because you said 3 venues, and I'm like, I love all 3 of those venues.
No, I know, like
so
those
I'm
are the
not
3
gonna
venues
disagree
that
with
stick
you.
out. But other than that, I'm like, there's what 35, 40 events on the schedule,
Yeah,
but
I know
those are
it's
the only
tough.
3 that I
feel
can
like I'm-
pick out.
I know they hate me because I'm like yelling at them all the time about it, but but
Someone's got to yell.
What are
yeah,
the solutions
I'm
though,
just
right?
like,
Like,
oh,
is it just, and it's tough to get venues to give up, especially up in the Northeast, to give up
it is.
their
It is.
course
It's
every
tough. It's
year
tough. It's
versus,
tough
yeah,
to let, membership say, "Hey, we're gonna burn it out. We're gonna make the greens firm.
yeah,
We're going to narrow in the fairways. We're gonna grow in the rough." Like all of those things would really it doesn't need to be every week. There are some venues where it just absolutely doesn't make sense. And you know what? Let birdies reign supreme. Like I understand that is an attraction to watching golf and it shouldn't be taken away. But I think that if we can find a balance between adding that element, but also adding a little bit of challenge that's not a major week, that kind of just finds that middle ground of, hey, an 8 under or 7 under winner like isn't the end of the world here. Like let's see how
yeah,
this pans out. Especially when the venue can, make that happen, whether that is Upper Montclair, Founders Cup, or Liberty or Palos Verdes, just bake it out. Like let's see what it, happens. I mean, I don't know. I'm biased. Like I like that kind of golf. I
do
also love
too.
British Opens. I love, Elements Challenge. Like I like all that more than just once a year. Like I think it's fun.
yeah.
I think, it just depends on what the viewership is looking for, but I think variety helps a lot.
Let me ask you this. Speaking of viewership, you guys are watching this week as fans, as we do each week. I think we've been very critical of NBC in the past, NBC Golf Channel, but I think weeks like this are awesome. I think they've done a really good job with coverage. I think not only is there a lot of coverage, but they have good cameras. They're not just focusing on a handful of groups. You have different angles, you have statistics, you have shot tracer, you have all of that. It's augmented by a wonderful USGA app where folks can go in and their shot link data, and they can see like every shot that every player's hit if they want to track certain players. My question to you guys, one, I mean, I would imagine you guys have thought this is a good viewing experience. And how much does that matter? Do you think it matters to trying to lift the women's game? Again, when we speak week to week, is this just more of an outlier, or is this something that we can work to get to more often throughout the calendar year?
Well, shout out to Mel Reed because she's unreal. She's just so fun to listen to.
Mel
And
is on. Let me just say,
Yeah.
Mel is on Golf Channel. She's part of the live from
I
crew.
texted her yesterday and I was like, did you practice those throws or like what went on there? Because I'm like, they're way too good for you to just wing it. And no,
That was electric.
She just went with it.
she's lifting up that baby, so she's getting strong.
She's sneaky, Mel.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
sorry,
Mel's
Jane,
great.
I cut you off there. But if anybody has not been watching live from on Golf Channel, that's been a fantastic addition as well.
Yeah, I mean, Mel killing it. It's great to have a player who's still playing, and to get her input, and obviously to the I think to the American market, it's so fun to listen to someone like Mel Reed and her British isms, if you will.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm married to a British guy, but like it's just so fun to listen to them explain golf in a way that I'm not familiar with. But obviously, and then you can get like an inside look on other players with her story, her little story with Charlie. I've got some stories with Charlie too, but they're, like she said, they're not really safe for public consumption. Yeah. But I think it's huge to showcase these girls and not just their golf, but Charlie again, ripping cigarettes like out on the course. Like, I think the last person that I've seen do that, oh shoot, I'm gonna blank on her name, but you don't get those old school players anymore, and
No.
she's just I just love watching her play, again with her ADHD, and we're all kind of ADHD in a way. But yeah, it's refreshing. It's refreshing and I think it brings more people in to watch the women's game. Makes us more relatable. And I'm sure Marina can attest to this. If I had a dime for every time someone came up to me and said, "I watch the women's game more because I can relate to you guys more," I would be a billionaire. But
Truly.
I don't really know what to say to that. I don't know if that's like a slight
Do you like
on the
hearing
women's
that?
game.
Yeah, I was
No,
gonna
at
say, is
first
that
I was like, that's great. And then I was like, wow, this seems very, very derogatory. At the same
Well, like
time.
kind of in a way, because I don't know. I mean, watching the men, they're just like, I mean, for lack of a better word, they're just freaks of nature. Like no one can do what they do with a golf ball. But yeah, it's almost like derogatory in a way, but I mean,
See,
whatever.
yeah, I always think of it as a compliment because it's like I can hit the same distance as the ladies out there, and yet they're still like we have the same physical, like there's limitations. I can't hit the ball 340 yards, but I can't do any of the stuff that you all do, tee to green, or the accuracy, or like it. I mean, it's just such a unique, cool skill set, and everything's so out of proportion in the men's game that it's unrelatable. And I think that hurts the men's game a little bit. And whether it's with venue selection or just rounds taking forever and all that. Whereas I think with the ladies' game, it's hey, like everybody's hitting it from these same distances, and you're just so much better at it. And I think that to me is more impressive than, hey, I can hit a drive 340 yards and you can't. Bottom line, like that's like that to me is just like cool. That's one specific skill, but when you take that throughout the bag and then add the accuracy in and the putting and the chipping, it's like to me, it's like it's more impressive when it's relatable. When it's not relatable, so.
No, fair enough. And I think that we're seeing more of that just like through coverage and shots and like it's tough, at first I just feel like not enough of a sample to watch women's
Yeah.
golf in its entirety and say, wow, these women are really actually good at wedges and mid irons and their disparity from a, target standpoint, it's like if you're aiming at the pin, how far offline are you hitting it? Not very, to be honest. Like there's not a lot of women that hit that far offline tee to green. But I just don't think we've seen enough of that. And we're seeing more of it. And I think that's great. And I think that it's just really only amplifying what you're alluding to in the sense that, these skills are real. Like accuracy is a real thing that the women, we kind of really hone in on because we're not going to ever overpower a golf course at the end of the
Mhm.
day. Even, Nelly, as long as she hits it and as straight as she hits it, okay, you take away whatever happened on the 12th hole yesterday, like she's really not overpowering the golf course to the point that, she's back in contention regardless of that number. It's
Mhm.
just, it's all about accuracy. It's all about how good is your distance control, how good is your control of how much release you're getting on the greens, like understanding your spin, understanding where to land the ball and what that effect is coming into the pin and into the green. That is something that I feel like female golfers are very in tune with because, that's our only option at the end
Mhm.
of the day. Like we're playing longer courses and firmer courses, and we need to know, are we flying at 140 or are we flying at 145? Because there are very distinct differences in those things for us in terms of result. Whereas a male golfer can fly at 140 or 145 with an exceptional amount of spin, and maybe that change on the green is 15 feet versus 22 feet. Okay, big whoop. You know, like
Mhm.
it's not 10 feet versus 50 feet, which could be the case. And Jane, you can correct me if I'm wrong, in terms of your landing spots are so necessary and you need to be so precise in order to be able to get the outcome you're looking for.
So precise, and especially going into a week like a major championship, if the greens are releasing a ton, you're going to have to take all that into consideration, and also depending on how you're hitting it that week, because major championships are never. It's never a good idea to try to work on your swing or your ball striking. You kind of, you play with what you got because having more than one or two swing thoughts on the course isn't ideal. um, but you guys saw that clip of Nelly, that TaylorMade posted, where she's reading out how far she's hitting a golf shot, and she was off by 2.5 yards maybe at most.
Yeah.
A ton of, like, all these girls were, they are that accurate on how they've hit the shot, the result, the fly number, the carry number. um it's a premium, getting those yardages right and knowing what you have to work with that week.
Hey
That's why
guys, I got
it's
a question
so
for you while you're here, real
yeah.
quick, while we're going
Okay.
down this route. We
Sure.
hear it a lot on the men's side, and we hear it definitely in the college ranks. But is there anybody on the LPGA tour that's like stated, I am chasing distance right now. Like I am doing everything I possibly can to get my ball speed up.
No,
It's unheard of, right?
unheard
I
of.
feel like
So,
Hannah
and
Green was
I
Hannah
know
Green doing that a couple years ago or
maybe
no? Yeah.
I'll give you like an example of this, and like I'm not knocking this player because I play with her all the time, and I absolutely love her, and she's a phenomenal player. Afa Munoz was trying to chase a little bit of distance, right? And I understand it. Her and I don't hit it far. At the end of the day, if she doesn't hit a fairway, her or I have zero strength to get that ball out of the rough onto the green with any amount of spin that's going to make any sense for the shot that's necessary in order to get it to the hole. So giving up 10 to 15 yards in the rough is absolutely not worth it if you have to hit it onto the green from there. Like
Mhm.
you're trying to be in the fairway to generate spin, not necessarily playing out of the rough. Like Bryson and all these guys who are hitting it miles, but they're hitting it offline, they also have the strength to hit it out of the rough with a wedge that's going to stop. Like women's game just doesn't necessarily have that physically. So
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense to chase the distance
it
for
doesn't.
10
I
yards.
tried. I
It's
tried to
not.
chase the distance,
Yeah.
before I
It's just
stopped
like
playing
what for?
with those weighted, those, what are they
Yes,
called?
the
Sweep
sweets,
sticks?
the swing sticks.
I I
I
was
don't
in
know.
the gym doing it, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 times a week. I threw my back out and I could not.
Yeah.
I
Gotta
couldn't
watch out.
practice. And I'm like, "This is dumb. I'm just gonna work on my accuracy." But yeah, like, we just don't have the speed to generate
No.
generate spin, which is, and Atha is like 115 pounds soaking wet. So, like, how much distance is she going? Like,
She hits
aside
it
from
far.
taking,
I give her a ton of credit. Like, I mean, I'm
Like
playing
pound
with
for
her
pound.
regularly. Like, she has
Yeah.
gained a lot of distance, and now she's kind of honed it in, and she's hitting a lot more fairways. I think there's maybe like a give and
Mhm.
take in terms of like getting the speed, then reining it in for accuracy. Like, I don't know how that whole process works because I've never actually attempted it, but she's kind
Have
of
you
like,
never tried it, Marina?
no, I did speed sticks and it whacked my swing out real bad, and I
Yeah.
was like, we're out with
Yeah, the
that.
accuracy goes down, and
My
then
coach is like, "What the hell is going on with your swing?" And I'm
It's like the
"I-
foundation of your entire game just gets withered away, right? 'Cause
yeah, it
all-
went
yeah.
from like, I don't know, to I don't know even further. And then he was like, let's just abandon this mission.
Marina,
What
what
an
was your
interesting.
max? Your max
Oh,
swing speed
oh no, my max swing speed at its absolute
with
most is like
driver?
95.8.
Oh my gosh. Mine was like 90. I got it to 99, but I
Oh, damn,
ended up
girl.
like, I ended up on the floor. So it was like
Threw her back
during a
out.
practice session.
No chance.
Yeah.
Man.
And I'm like, well, I mean, yeah, that went like 250 in the air.
Ash
But
Buhai and I joke all the time. That girl's like 93.7, and she's absolutely flushing it out there. Like
flushes.
flushing it. It does not matter. It doesn't
Major
matter.
champion.
Yeah, it doesn't
Puts the
matter.
shit out of the ball.
I do think of, and this isn't necessarily like to pick on her, but I think a lot of Maria Fossey, and like
Oh.
she absolutely pounds the ball.
Mwah.
But like
Like
that's
unbelievable.
that's
She's also really hot.
She is.
well, okay,
She's
yeah,
a hottie.
She's hot.
okay, but pounds the ball.
Y'all
and,
can
like,
say that. Us three up here, we can't
Yeah.
say
Yeah,
that.
you can.
but like she's not hitting any fairways. She doesn't scramble very well. Like that's it. So you're always like, wait a second, when's this unicorn going to come around? And then you think of like, oh yeah, the next generation here. So if we look at a Rose doesn't hit the ball that far, but like everything is so dialed there, and you're like, oh, what? It's so hard to be like the what if of like, but if I could add that one thing here, and it's just fascinating to sit here and watch, because again, on the men's side, they're every single one of them are chasing this. And that's just not existent at all over here because it's such a premium on accuracy.
Yeah, and I think you look at like Nelly, Yuka, like they're natural talents of length but accuracy, right? They're not attempting to chase that. Like Nelly's not trying to hit it further, Yuka's not trying to hit it further. They just happen to hit it far and well and straight a majority of the time. And like that's what makes them exceptionally good week in, week out. Same with Minji, same with Hannah Green. You know, that's not their intention ever, but it's just their gift, and they happen to be further than the average, and they happen to be extremely accurate off the tee and into the green. And like you're not, you know, that's not replicable over the course of like training and all those things. That's just talent, and that's why they're great. And like I love that for them. I really do.
That being said, a lot of courses that, and I think Marina can agree, like some of the courses that we play, and especially with like setup, Marina and I, when we were like playing together, we'd hit the same irons. I call her my twin.
But yeah, we
because
were twins. We were golf twins.
we're
We
twins.
called each other
Like,
twin all the time.
Our accuracy
like,
was off
"Wait,
the charts.
What did you hit 7-iron? 141 in the air?" Yes. Hey, twin. Good
Hey,
job.
twin. Yeah. So, you know, our drives would be, we played practice round, we're like neck and neck. But anyway, that being said, if we carried it 5 to 7 yards longer, these golf courses would be so much easier. Like, prime example, Lexi Thompson, when she won in Prattville, heaven forbid that golf course ever comes back into rotation, because Marina would struggle.
I've played there before. I know exactly what you're
Oh my
talking about.
gosh. I would be like, wow, these girls are hitting wedge. I'm like slinging in a 5-iron from the other side because I can't carry the bunker.
5-iron. I think I played with Lexi like or in a practice round. She's just carrying bunkers with a 3-wood, and I'm just dinking it out there like playing angle golf, and she's just driving at the green. But yeah, getting that those few yards could mean so freaking much. Makes the game so much easier. But we have our strengths. Marina and I we just hit the fairway, and we're just accurate. So I guess we have that going.
It's so
Your
interesting because
wit and attitude as well,
it
right?
like it turns all the statistical and strategic stuff on the men's side completely upside down, which I love. Like, everything on the men's side is just hit it. Your distance is everything. Accuracy doesn't mean anything. Having a wedge instead of a 7-iron is, the only thing that matters, even if you're in the rough, right? And
Marina and I, whenever we watch the men play, we're always texting each other. We're like, can you imagine hitting a drive 325 in the air? And we just like, I don't know, we just get like a hard on over it. We're like,
Yeah.
oh my
I thought you almost made a blocky comment there. You know how I
No.
I
actually was about to make a Rory comment, and I was just like, wow, man.
But let me jump in
I was
here.
hitting wedge into every green.
I'm like,
only-
imagine hitting wedge into every green.
Let me jump in here because
Block party.
I have used so many times. I've said I really enjoy watching the LPGA because it is relatable. So I will put my hand up. That is something that I say, but what we're talking about here is it doesn't matter if it's male, female. It's more like if you're long or not long, if you're high spin or you're not high spin, because I don't put a lot of spin on the ball. I don't hit the ball very far. So watching the game this weekend in Lancaster, it's not about the women per se. It's more like the type of golf that I am able to play. It's just optimized. And it's the best in the world of the type of golf that is available and relatable to me. So I really hope you don't think of it as derogatory, as like, you know, oh, we're taking pity and you guys are, it's like, hell no.
No.
Like watching you is like, damn, that's how good I could be in like a different lifetime. But to Tron's point is like, I can never carry the ball. Shit, I can't carry the ball 280, you know, let alone 320.
Neither can
Randy's
I.
apex heights are so low too, where like he's landing it short of a lot of these screens. Like being down on the sand belt with him and watching him play Kingston Heath.
Yeah, you
Oh,
talking
man.
about like where to land it, how much release, like that's all
Pretty
stuff going
short
through
of
my
the green.
mind. Yeah, so when I
Randy,
watch,
send me your address. I'll send you my speed sticks. I'm not using them anymore.
He might hurt
no,
himself.
I'm not touching that. So I
It's
did
not
just want
about
to
that.
say I really hope you can think of it as a compliment, because for me at least, like it's coming from a place where it's like y'all just play the best golf in the world of like golf that I would be capable of playing.
We appreciate that. Very
I'm still
much
taking
so.
offense to it, but whatever.
I'm not
Also,
anymore.
one
I've
other
gotten-
thing too is it's not just relatable like on the course, it's relatable off the course as well. Like every time I go to a LPGA event or hang out at a high level women's event, I leave with a smile on my face. I can't say the same thing at men's events.
Is it because of the
it's-
golf or for another reason?
Right. I mean, it's because the
It's
ladies
everything.
are delightful and like
It's everything.
ladies, the media officials, everybody. It's just like it's such a more pleasant experience, and that's relatable as well. Of hey, like I loved being at the U.S. Women's Open last year, or like there's something about it that it's just delightful, right? Like the course isn't stretched out and a million yards long, and logistics are easier and all this stuff. And that's where getting back to NBC, I wish that like they show that it's possible. Like they're good at telling the stories when they care or when they have the proper resources to do so. And week to week, if they actually told the stories of, hey, like it on this hole, it's important to land it here, and told it from the LPGA women's golf point of view with your skill sets in mind of, hey, you know what, like apex heights and spin rates and swing speeds, like not just applying the exact same things that they talk about on the men's game, like do a women's golf broadcast. Don't just rinse and repeat over, like, really tailor it. And I think that's where there's a real opportunity there with whether it's Mel or, I mean, shit, the two of you guys, like, let's get you guys out on these.
They don't
like,
want me.
I mean, it's,
No,
it's,
they do want you.
Which means you'd be good, Marina. Which means you'd be good.
Marina's still got plenty of game. What are you guys talking
No,
about?
I know,
Looking at her
that's what
numbers
I'm saying, of, like,
20,
work towards that.
25th in total strokes gained.
Yeah.
She's fine. Come on, get her
Really?
out there. Yes, you are, which is
I've been working
shocking
with
to you, I guess.
I've been working
That's
with
the
a stats guy, so
self-reported
that
stats,
makes more sense.
That's true. Watch your caddy on this. And shout out to Nico, of course, while we're here.
Nico.
But kind of to double down on that question, TC, and I'll throw this at Marina, but you talked about different setups and you talked about how different US Opens are. And, we all know that you have a statistician and you guys work at charting courses and everything. How different is this week coming off the mundane, week to week LPGA Tour setups where, like, there's only been one tournament so far this year where a single digit under par is won, and that was 9 under at Palos Verdes. Everything else has been double digits with almost more in 20 under range than it's been in the teens under par.
Yeah, this
So
is what I was talking about.
How big of a
before.
difference is this, and how do you prepare for this? Is it
You
just
don't.
charge? Okay.
You don't, because that's basically what I was saying. Like, there is nothing out there that's like gearing us into this moment as much as, and you need to just, ultimately need to rely on your skill, your self-belief, and your experience. So you go, but based on, okay, what have I done in the past in other majors, other events, like you need to just kind of like absolutely just abandon whatever you were doing. I'm not saying abandon your swing, your game or plan or any of that, but it's just like you need to pull from experiences that make sense to this moment. Playing an event where 30, 25 under wins is not going to help you win, this week. Like you're really going to need to hone in from the major I played whenever, or that event, that was difficult, or like, we joke like, oh, this is a putt to win the US Open, or like, if it's a super windy day, we always use a joke like, oh, preparing for the British. Like, that's not a joke. Like at the end of the day, like you're trying to like get something in the repertoire of like the memory bank of, okay, I've done this under stress, that's going to replicate something in the future, and that's going to help me. And I think that's truly what all these players are banking off of. Like, I have some experience in this moment in similar conditions at some point or along the way, and that gives you comfort and solace in being able to trust yourself and compete. And I'm hoping that's what we're going to see over the next 2 days, because I truly don't think any of these players have faced a test that they see in Lancaster at all this year. Like, not a single course at all. Like, truly not one. Like, this place is an absolute beast. Like, if it's set up the way that it's set up right now, and I'm happy for it. Like, I want to see that. And I truly wish I was there. I wish Jane was there. I wish we were both there. But like, at the end of the day,
I don't wish I was there.
I don't know. I'm
would
a
shoot
sadist.
150.
I want to
For
see.
yourself.
I want to just be sad about myself for the next 2 days. But ultimately, you're banking off of things that you have experienced before, and you're utilizing that to propel you forward. And we're not often provided with that unless it's a major championship. So you really need to dig deep there.
Man, the future venues for the US Opens are so good. We talked about it. They're unbelievable. And I think this type of golf, at least we know we're going to get it once a year, I think, for the foreseeable future.
And I think you'll get it at Sahali, truly. I do.
Sahali's great.
I think you'll get it. It is, I don't remember what Brooke won with, but it wasn't high. And that was a great venue. St. Andrews, potentially with weather, you'll get something. Like, I don't know. It really
Hopefully it's burned out and firm and dry, right? Like that would be awesome.
That's an absolutely like weather dependent situation, it seems. The British Open is always like that. It could be absolute carnage, or it could not be carnage, and they can't do anything other than what's presented in front of them. So you kind of just take it for what it's worth there. But I think Sahali will give you another test of this. But oddly enough, we play the week before in Grand Rapids is probably one of the lowest scoring weeks of the year, and then we step into a major championship. So it's like, everyone's like, oh my gosh, so and so, hasn't capitalized. Well, it's like, well, she just stepped off a course and she shot 27 under, and now she's got to go ahead and like actually reprogram her whole game plan to being like, par is your friend. We're not firing at every pin. We're not trying to make 30 birdies. And, it's not as simple as everyone realizes. You kind of just start getting into autopilot on things. And sometimes that autopilot isn't necessarily the autopilot you need for a major. And that's no fault to their own.
Yeah, it's kind of unnatural. It's kind of like tennis. Like, it would be like in tennis, if you went from the French Open to Wimbledon to the US Open right in a row on different surfaces and all that, and it doesn't.
There's a lot of not always equates, and I think those that are the most adaptable you see like excelling, and that is a skill in itself.
I was going to say, I know we're not going to get to see her this weekend, but I think it just puts a fine point on what Nellie's been able to do during this run of hers, winning. Winning at Palos Verdes, winning a major, winning a shootout at the Ford Championship. I mean, it just seems like winning at the difficult Shadow Creek in match play. Just seems like every type of condition, every type of course, every type of event it really underscores like how good of a run this has been.
I mean, Jane's watching, like, I can't even emphasize enough how unbelievably amazing Nelly Corda is. I can't. Like, I will preach it from the mountaintops. Like, she is.
Have you played with her recently, Marina?
I played with her. Okay, this is wild. So we were fortunate enough, we played the Seminole Pro member together before she went on this run of winning all these tournaments, right? And so I played with her I played with my partner. She played with her partner. We're out there. And I mean, Seminoles, like, it's a hard golf course. They set up the course like absolutely like nutso. Like, we're playing in the afternoon. Her and I both have these cute little 12-year-old girl caddies for us. Like, they're local, like trying to, you know, they're doing their high school scholarship thing. Like, they're awesome. Like, it's a great experience for them. It's cool for us. Like, and we have no idea what we're doing. We're just out there, and I go to tee off. I see Matt Fitzpatrick, and he's like, "Oh yeah, have fun today." Like, every pin's like 2 from the left, and I'm like, "Okay, cool." Like, I'm gonna probably shoot an 80, like whatever. And so Nelly gets out there. I mean, she played. They did not win, but I was like, "Wow, she's playing so good." Like, I am terrible at golf. Like, I got done with the day, and I was like, I will never beat her. Like, there's just zero chance. Like, we're leaving to go to somewhere in like 3 days, and I'm like, okay, I've got a lot to practice. She won PV. She won the next week. She won the next week after that, and I was like, yeah, okay, that makes a lot more sense. Like, the whole thing got put into context for me, because I was like, my goodness, she is just on a whole nother world. And yeah, that I'm really happy though. I am so happy to watch her play so good. I really am.
She's elevating the women's game, and she's doing it. She's doing it in such a dominant fashion, and you know, it's Tiger-esque, man. I mean,
yeah, it has its moments.
And she just looks like she's so much more comfortable in the spotlight, and you know, she took, you know, what happened yesterday in such a classy way, and she's just a great role model. I think I played with her, like, you know, before I stopped playing, and I just remember thinking, like, I'm too old for this shit, and she's just gonna lap me, and I'm like, I don't know, like, it's almost like David and Goliath, man. She's just when a player's got it, you're just kind of I could not focus on my golf game, because I was just watching her, like watching the way she practices, or watching the way, you know, not only how she practices or how she swings, but trying to learn like how she manages her time and how she prepares for tournaments. Because, you know, she's not out there a million hours before Thursday, because she's gearing up to be fresh on Thursday. And you know, it was cool to see that up front for a few years.
It's good to see someone like have their talents actually amount to like everything you expect it to be. You know, people don't always do that. You know, you saw her from the beginning of her career to now, and you're like, wow, she's got a absolute swing. She's got, you know, short game. She's got all of the skills, everything to be unbelievable. And then to do that week in and week out, and actually see her do it is cool.
Do you remember
hearing
her name when she was on Smetra?
Yeah.
And like some of the caddies were like, oh, this Nelly girl is going to be really good. And I'm like, who is this Nelly girl?
Yeah.
And now, like,
who is this Nelly girl? She's number 1 in the world by double.
She's number 1 in the world. Best golfer on the planet, in my opinion.
By a mile.
You know, someone said, "Oh, Nelly's the female version of Scotty Scheffler," and I was like, Scotty's the male version of Nelly Korda."
I would agree.
Yeah.
Jane, real quick.
Go
Sorry,
ahead, TC.
real quick.
No, go ahead.
I didn't realize you were the low am in 2006 at one of your 16 U.S. Women's Open appearances. I didn't realize you'd played in 16 of these.
Dude, I'm old as hell. Yeah.
Not because you're younger than me.
No, you're
say that.
Yeah, you're like the same age
that.
as me. And you played in 16 of these things. That's insane. What was the toughest setup you ever saw for one of these?
Toughest setup? Man. I thought not Sabonic, Saucon Valley. Where Ingy won. You played in that one, right, Marina?
Saucon Valley I played as an amateur. I was in college, and I was like, wow, I may never play professional golf.
I wanted the
I was
week to
like,
be over.
I shanked it in front of Lorena Ochoa, and I was like, I think that I should maybe just never play golf again.
And Lorena's so nice. She's just like, oh, it's okay. It's okay.
It is okay.
She's got like her arm around your shoulder.
I was mortified. I was like, oh my God, it just is a hosel rocket over here.
We've all done it. We've all done it. Yeah, Saucon Valley was pretty brutal.
We cannot go back there. That would be good.
But I played in my first US Open when I was 16. No, wait, 15? 16. And it was at Pumpkin Ridge when
Okay.
Hillary Lunke won.
Yeah.
And Stanford made that amazing putt on the last hole to get into a playoff, I think. Yeah, that was my first taste of the US Open, and I had to have more of it.
Not
And
to
that
put
kinda-
not to put an age on it. That was 2003 at Pumpkin Ridge. Hillary
Nice.
Lunke playoff
Yes,
with
I
Angel
remember.
Stanford, Kelly Robbins, 1 under to get in that playoff. And you guys were talking about Saucon Valley. That was even par that won.
Unhee G?
2009. Yeah.
And he
Yeah. But G-Wagon. That's what we call her.
Yeah, G-Wagon. And that was the only time where her caddy was like shorter in height than Unhee. Shout out to Zach. Sorry, Zach. But
Was that Zach?
It was funny.
Oh,
It was
I miss
Zach.
Zach.
Yeah,
Haven't seen him
I
in a while.
know.
Yeah.
Where's
US
Zach?
Opens, man, they're just my favorite type of golf. That and British
Yeah.
Open, they just
Yeah.
test every part of your game, and I just love it.
Well, we got one
Well,
more question for you guys before you get out of here, but I also want to give a shout out here. So, Marina, you're dogging your game the entire time, but you are coming off of a top 10 finish at the Mizuho America's Open. What's the next event that you're playing in? Where's your game at? What do you think's going to happen?
So I'm playing next week, ShopRite, which is a long-standing LPGA event. And to be honest, I felt good about my game. And then I played yesterday with Kari Webb. And
No big deal.
oh man, it's
Who will be
you
making a
know-
start at ShopRite?
Oh yeah,
Who-
she's
who-
playing next
yep.
week. And
Yep.
you know what? I feel like I just get asked to play golf, and she does it because she knows she's going to absolutely murder me. And so we go and we play. This was a cool invite, and I appreciate it. MacArthur opened a second course in
It looks
Hopetown.
so good.
It is unbelievable. I was like, wow, this place is unbelievable. Casual 63 for Kari, 8 under, and I was just like, yeah, okay, whatever. I just practice all the time, and I just, just gonna shoot 74, and I'm just gonna go away and never play
You by
again.
11?
Yeah, she crushed my ass.
Webby does that. Webby does that.
Yeah, I can't say I've ever beaten her in a recreational round of golf in my life.
She just
No
sucks
shame.
you in with a false sense of security, and then she just
She
freaking
is unbelievable at golf.
beats your
I
ass.
I cannot understate it enough. I like she could play full time with 0 problems, and she doesn't, and that's her choice. And she is better than 97% of the people that are still playing on tour.
Well, if she has some free time, we have some pretty good Australia content going on right now at the YouTube that she might be interested in. But the other thing too, Mizuho is near and dear to our heart.
Yes,
proud
Mizuho is
sponsor.
unbelievable.
We
They are
love
great.
everything about them. We love everybody that works at the tournament who supports that. And I want to give a quick shout out to them too, because they honored Grace, Jane, and there was a
They
really
did.
cool activation at the
Yeah.
Mizuho America's Open. They had a saving Grace
They
tent that they had
did.
merchandise at. I know it's at the top of our hearts, but how is
Yeah.
Grace doing? What can we do to support? Is there anywhere that we can direct people to if they're interested or anything like that?
We don't have to talk about that. Grace is doing great, guys. Thanks for asking.
Awesome.
It was so cool. It's been nearly 3 years since Grace got sick, and to see that not only the LPGA but my sponsor Golf for Her, who also sponsors Marina, Marina and Christina Thompson have doubled down and like amped up the support in caring for Grace in more ways than one. And I'm forever grateful for you, Marina and Christina,
Love
and
you.
just gosh, like the support on the LPGA tour is it's I think it's unmatched, and I'm very lucky to have this family, and also with this whole thing, I started to bring like the mood down, but like this whole thing that happened with Grayson, like man, it impacts everybody, and it just puts everything into perspective, and um we're just all a big family, and I hate that tragedy like that it has to happen for people to realize that, but we're all just kind of walking each other home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well said.
Very
for
well
sure.
said.
Big, you got
Well-
any tough questions on the way out the door?
Just one.
Yeah.
It's Friday night. I know you guys have stuff you'd probably rather be doing. We really, really, really appreciate you hanging out with us. I just got to ask you what you're most excited to see this weekend, and give us your winner prediction. And Jane, can I put you on the spot to start?
Wow, why? What did I ever do? um I gosh, I really like Minji. She's just like she's coming into form. She has the world's greatest caddy, Bradley Beecher, on her bag. Brad, I don't know if you're listening, but the world's greatest human on the bag. Self-proclaimed world's greatest human.
Yes.
But with the help of Bradley Beecher, his talents eclipse her talents. So I think she's got the best person on the bag, and she's in great form. And yeah, I that's my prediction, Minji.
Love it.
Love
Marina, how
that.
about you?
I'm gonna take Yuka, and I watched her play through and through on round one, and I just saw so many echoes of 2021 at Olympic Club, and I just was like,
Mhm.
you know what? I've seen this, and I think this can be replicated. And I think that her putter is good right now. She's comfortable in it, and ultimately, as good as she drove it in 21, I mean, the putter won her the championship, and the putter is going to win you a championship anywhere you go. As good as you are tee to green, you need all elements of your game, and I think she really feels comfortable right now, and I love to see that for her. And I love her. She's a great girl. I love Yuka. I love playing with her, and she just brings a good energy and a light, and I just like what I'm seeing out of her right now. And I'm really rooting for her, and I feel good about her taking home another U.S. Open championship.
Do you guys see though, like her demeanor is kind of like,
I know.
oh, I'm embarrassed to like I need another
I know.
putt.
No, but
Just,
that's
like,
Yuka. Like
on top
she
of the
would,
leaderboard, like
she'd be like, "Oh, I'll give you a riddle right now," and I'm just like, "No, I don't do riddles." But she loves riddles. She'll come up to you and be like, "I have a good riddle for you," and I'm like, my brain doesn't work that way."
I absolutely love that. Yuka and Minji will be playing tomorrow
Yes.
together. They're the
And
penultimate
I
group. They're
love
going off-
that they are
Yeah.
the penultimate group.
They are going off at
Mhm.
1:19 Eastern. Marina, I was going to ask. Sorry, last thing about Yuka.
It's
Is
okay.
it surprising that Yuka hasn't won more week to week? Her only
She's never won
LPGA win being
another
that US Open.
LPGA event.
I know
Exactly.
she has like a little hints of Alim Kim, who won a U.S. Open and has never won another event before, but has all of the talent in the world to do it. And I couldn't tell you why that is. I really couldn't. If like, do I think Yuka will only win one event in her entire career? Absolutely not. That's a silly thing to say. She has way too much skill to be a single time champion of any, whether that's major or non-major. So she will win again. And I think it might be this week. Will it not be this week? You know what? But it'll be another week. I mean, she's young and she's got all of the skills behind her. So it's just a matter of time before she wins more than just the one event.
2 wins, both being US Opens, would be quite the flex. Well, ladies, yeah. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Real pleasure. I feel like, God, just having you two talk to each other, we didn't have to do a thing. So enjoy this weekend of golf. And it's just always great to catch up. And again, thank you.
Thank you so
thanks
much.
for having us, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Absolutely.
Have a good one.
See ya.
See ya.
All right. Guys, just a few things here before we wrap the show. I teased earlier the FootJoy moment of joy. Let's get to that right now. TC, do you have a moment of joy from these first 2 rounds?
Randy, there's so many different ways I could go with this. Literally, I mean, the entire week has been joyful thus far with just reports that we were getting a proper U.S. Open, kind of from the outset.
It was like Christmas Eve, Wednesday
yeah.
night.
And then Santa came and delivered lots of presents and lots of goods. So I've been over the moon all week. Canada's been awesome too. Hamilton looks great. Corn Ferry Tour is even like a proper setup this week.
I thought you were talking about Canada in general. I was like, yeah, it's pretty sweet country, man. They don't do a lot of bad stuff.
Yeah. but I opened up the Wall Street Journal this afternoon. WallStreetJournal.com, WSJ.com this afternoon. And what do I see, guys? Cody, flash it up on the screen. Blandy. They had a feature article on my guy Richard Bland, the leader of the cliques, about how he's hitting his prime at 51 years old, won 447 starts in nearly 2 decades before tasting glory on the European tour. And I couldn't be happier for Blandy and this late career glow up that he's got going on, and he's just a really good golfer. And I like his brother, or I think his brother's fighting lung cancer right now too, and I know he's got that weighing on him. So it's been cool to kind of see him open up about that as well, and like legitimately has turned me into, like, it was a bit for a while, and now like I'm like a legitimate Blandy fan. Like I have him like in my tabs of like, all right, like how's Blandy playing today? How's Blandy playing today? So yeah, amen. I mean, look at that trophy.
I was gonna say, everybody, like, the senior PGA trophy is the biggest damn trophy I've ever seen. Unbelievable stuff. Cody, do you have a moment of joy?
I do, Big. I think we rag on these people all the time. I just want to give an extreme shout out to how good coverage has been. I think from I was worried when they published the broadcast window that we weren't going to see a lot. I was worried that we weren't going to get any of Nelly. And honestly, like, I've watched it either on the website or I have YouTube TV, and I don't even have to log into Peacock. It's just like whatever additional NBC Sports 1. It's been truly incredible. Can watch anything I want. The feature group coverage has been awesome. Damon's been awesome calling that. The broadcast has been great. It's been like truly unbelievable. And I don't know if it's different cameras or different people or like just a different graphics package, but it feels like a big time event. And I think this is kind of where we're always talking about, like, hey, this definitely isn't the package that they had at Chevron. And that was supposed to be the previous big time event. So kudos where kudos is due. Everybody on the ground, it's been awesome. They're calling like a really cool tournament. The views are incredible. And the last thing is we talked about it earlier, but her filling in on the live front desk has been so electric.
This is Mel Reed. Yeah, for anybody listening.
Mel's been so good there, not just like doing the funny bits that I'm super happy that NBC and Golf Channel is leaning more into, but it like truly shows the viewer why stuff matters. And it goes back to like when brownie points were a thing on Fox, and like, it's not gimmicky like broadcast tricks. It's very valuable for the viewer. And I appreciate them
showing,
getting Mel on,
not just telling.
Yes. Like it's just, she's perfect for that role. And I know that there's still a lot of golf for her to be played still, but she has such a future in this. And it's not just hucking balls all over the place or anything. Like, her knowledge of the swing and stats and everything else, like she's such an addition here. It's just been phenomenal, top to bottom, like literally like no changes needed.
Amen, Cody. I think I would say the one change would just be improve the Peacock app, because it's like,
I haven't looked at it yet, so
unusable. But I would just say, like, and it was the same thing last year. Like Pebble, they did a great job as well. But I would say the big difference here is like crowds. The crowds make a huge difference too. And I think it sounds like it's going to be a blowout weekend. And I'm tired of people saying, oh, like, it's not a good leaderboard. Andrea Lee, Minji, Yuka Sasso, Astros Tally, like, that's that's invigorating, right? And like there's some really good players at the top of this leaderboard, and I think it's going to be awesome high level golf. And props to the people of Lancaster and the surrounding area for coming out. And what I'll say to the PGA of America specifically is, if stuff doesn't look like this at Sahali, why is that? What's going on?
Yeah.
How is the USGA able to twist the arm of a cost-conscious NBC, Comcast, and get all these bells and whistles and all these cameras and all these resources out there, get them to get off their asses and do this? And why isn't that going to happen? Because looking at the TV schedules for KPMG Women's PGA, it doesn't look like this, right?
No.
It's sandwiched in between Olympic trials and a bunch of other shit that NBC's got going on, and it's back to the same old crap, you know? So like this shouldn't be a once a year thing. And it can't be a once a year thing if you want to grow this and make it an actual asset for, you know, like play offense, right? Like, all right, more people are watching, you can sell more commercials against that. That's revenue. Like, you know,
Yeah, for sure.
Start trying to grow your revenue instead of just minimizing your expenses.
One last thing, having the commercial free hour, we got that a couple times last year on Sundays, like specifically during final rounds, but getting it every single day for an hour, and at times it's felt like a lot longer than that, is amazing. So kudos to the USGA, kudos to Rolex. I think they're the ones presenting it. It's been awesome. Big, what do you got?
Yeah, I also saw Deloitte. I'm not sure if they're involved. My moment of joy, guys. I got so tickled by a tweet on Thursday. We're going to flash it up on the screen here, but I just want to, my moment of joy is just watching difficult golf. It's literally been 2 days of joy. I got a shout out. Here's the tweet from @BDeniso. I need Randy to hop on a plane to be there Sunday to cheer on the USGA. Of course, this is an homage to our guy TC jumping on the plane to be there for Fleetwood on Sunday as he was trying to win a British Open. I almost feel like hopping on a plane and getting to Lancaster and just to like shake hands with the USGA for the people that have and the local superintendent at Lancaster. I apologize, I don't know your name, but them. The entire grounds crew, the whole club at Lancaster, again, it means you can just feel it permeating this whole tournament when a club, a membership, a community is behind the event, and it has made for an awesome golf tournament. And it's just been, like I said, 2 days of joy for me and 2 more days of joy this weekend. So kudos to everybody involved with this event this week. I
Randy,
absolutely love it.
Josh Saunders is the superintendent's name.
Josh Saunders. There we go.
And for the record, I hopped on that plane on Saturday
night.
That is true.
Maybe I'll get a red eye from Denver Saturday night into Philly.
But if you get to Philly and you get to Lancaster, you might have people walking up and punching you for your pronunciation.
That's true. That's true. Anyway, that was presented, of course, by FootJoy. Thank you to FootJoy, official shoe glove rainwear partner of No Laying Up. Appreciate everything they do for the game and for us. Big, where are we going?
Last thing before we get out of here, TC, I know we got the PGA, the Canadian Open going on. Do you just want to fill us in quickly on what's going on up there?
Yeah, we do. Really good leaderboard. Solly's furious. He's furious. We got Big Shot, Bob McIntyre, and Ryan Foxy out front. -10. The two of them are tied at the top. Joel Damon chasing. Mackenzie Hughes, Canadian, on the board. He's -7. He's 3 shots back, T4 right now. Hamilton's been awesome all week. Proper Colt design. Just went through a Martin Ebert refresh. They brought in more short grass around the greens. It showed really, really well on TV. Crowds are great. So I'm suspending the Provincial Open, insult that I normally do for the Canadian Open. It's a national open this year, regardless of if Tommy wins or not. Tommy is currently, let's see here. Tommy's -3. He's currently T21 right now. Our guy ZB's playing well. Yeah. So big day tomorrow. Like I said, there was a proper event going on in the Carolinas, UNC Health Championship down on the Corn Ferry Tour. Like, scores were crazy high. I think the cut was at like +3 for that as well. And then one last thing for the U.S. Women's Open too. I just want to shout out the Japanese ladies. Like they have been, they are out there on the leaderboard in force. I think
they have 10 in the top 16, I believe, unless that changed since we started recording. It's incredible.
Led by Hinaka, obviously Yuka is a Japanese national now, originally from the Philippines, but you've got Hinako Shibuno at T5, Chisato Iwai, Ai Suzuki, Yui Kawamoto, Ryo Takeda, and then Miyu Mamashita, aka Mamacita. I always get a kick out of that one.
Last year
Nasa Hataoka, Ayaka Furue.
How many more are you going to try before you truly walk yourself into
Yuri
something?
Yoshida. That's it.
Okay,
those are all the ones in the top 20.
Poosh is gonna light up our text with just how are you pronouncing this? How are you doing this?
Well, we were texting with Poosh earlier, and I said, Poosh, this is absolutely remarkable. He said, I know their precision and discipline are two hallmarks of Japanese culture. And
there might be something as well about qualification spots coming out of that Japan final qualifier that they have too.
Who could say?
But that's all to make this excellent field that we have here. I think, guys, we were so far off on our predictions here, and I know outside of Nelly, even like our alternates.
I mean,
so
Gabby, everybody.
I'll say this right now. Who do you guys? Who's going to win this tournament?
I think I trust Minji the most. I'm going Minji.
I think I'm kind of torn. I think Minji is really, like, I was kind of hoping, all right, this feels like a Minji week. I think that's the one person I actually did mention on our preview pod and got somewhat right, was Minji. But I think Minji is primed, but I think a sleeper is Andrea Lee. I think Andrea Lee is just
that's where I was going to go.
Slow and steady, and just she's not going to overpower the place. She's disciplined. She's an exceptional wedge and iron player. And I think over the last, she won, I think in 2022, her first LPGA event, and hasn't done a ton since then as far as wins. But I think it's one of those, like, she had an exceptional collegiate career, great amateur career. I think, like, it would not surprise me one bit if she won. I think it's between those two. I don't know why with Yuka. It's not that I don't believe in Yuka. I think those two are a cut above.
I'll say Yuka's putting was out of this world Thursday. Overall, through 2 rounds, Yuka is just slightly negative in shots gained approach, which we've talked about how much of a ball striking test this is. So I'm a little tepid on Yuka myself, but wouldn't shock me if she won. But I'm right there with you, TC. I think Andrea is a good pick. Cody, who are you taking?
Yeah, I like I said, I was right there with you, TC. I think it's Andrea Lee. Just if you look at the numbers right now, 12th in strokes gained approach. She's second in total number of putts, 13th for strokes gained putting. For somebody, we talk about how difficult it is to get yourself onto these greens and then putt on these surfaces. Andrea Lee seems to have it figured out. And I know it's a big time moment coming up in a position that she hasn't really found herself in yet, but she's just like slow and steady and controls. She's not a bomber by any means, but she hits fairways, puts herself in really good positions. And then if she continues to putt like this, she's not making anything crazy. She's just out there, 2-putting everything. She's going to be in a really good spot. I played with her a couple weeks ago at the Pro-Am, and our other partner in the Pro-Am was Arian Foster. He has a microdosing podcast. So we got super deep on mental health. I don't know exactly what tips he was giving her, but something seems to have clicked because she's just vibing out there, man.
I love that. God, Andrea Lee and Arian Foster. I can't think of like 2 more just random people to stick together.
It was a very weird conversations going on, but hey, whatever. I think it would be awesome. Andrea, she's one of those people that was like, she's so good as an amateur, and like she just kind of was caught in between the waves of the Lily Vu coming up, and then you had Rose and everything taken over, and like Andrea was a stud on that Stanford team before it was like the Stanford team that we really know it to be now. And She's used to playing big time moments, whether it's team events or high level amateur events. Like we said, she won in Cincy. Like, she just keep playing her game, and she'll be just fine here.
Amen.
Amen.
I'd be remiss. I was disappointed in Alexandra Forsterling today. 70-78. She was in the catbird seat going into round 2. That said, I'm
Got off
proud
the
of
rails quickly on her second 9.
proud of Madeline for battling. She made the cut on the number. Gabby Ruffles played her last 9 under par to make the cut on the number as well. Anybody you're really disappointed with that missed the cut?
I think Brooke Henderson, I was disappointed in just because she's had a really good year. Obviously overshadowed by Nelly and Hannah Green. She hasn't won, but she's been super solid. I think she played well here in 2015. Nelly, of course, disappointment, but listen, I get it. One hole kind of sunk her whole championship. Brooke was just kind of a slow bleed and didn't look like she had any type of game this week, which was disappointing to me.
Cody?
Yeah, it's Maya. I had early call on her. Of course, I just didn't expect to see the rounds that she ended up shooting. A really, really bad putting week, combined with, like, she didn't hit any greens. And at this course, it just kind of exposed the game. So I don't know. I was riding all this high from Hads coming back to work and all that stuff. Who knows? It is a long season, TC, but yeah, it's not where I thought. So when you got Nelly, when you got Maya, Lynn also missed.
I was going to say Lynn
disappointing
after a good first round.
I don't think this was a great setup for Lynn. If it's more accuracy than power, I think somebody else says Rose, right? Like we talked about it a little bit earlier. Of just, this is a precision test. It's pars. It's iron play. It's just discipline and consistency, and that's Rose's game, right? So, who knows? She may still be recovering from. I know she was sick, really sick a couple weeks ago, up in New Jersey. So, we'll see you there. And then I want to give a shout out to Angel Yin too for her comments of essentially just telling everybody to put your big girl pants on and go play it. Perfect. She said, perfect USGA course. I hope they don't pull back, but keep making it harder. If we want easy, we can play mini tours. This is the US Open. We shouldn't expect anything less. Zephyr Melton tweeted that. I think that's super true. And honestly, I think the depressing part is if you want easy, you can just play the regular LPGA tour.
Yeah, for sure.
Stuff. And same thing on PGA Tour.
It's not like that's also coming from somebody like Angel. I think she said that it had to have been after her first round, right? She shot 75. She ended up missing the cut too. But if she can have that attitude about it, I don't think there's going to be any crazy things. The only other person that I am kind of shocked, because I think we have such high expectations with her, the number 1 amateur golfer in the world right now, and that's Ingrid. Especially how she's played in previous US Women's Open, just not really expecting the 77-74. And this is coming up like a pretty poor performance, I would say, at national championship for her. Seems like she's kind of lost. So I don't know what really is going to shape up to be the rest of the season or summer for her before she ultimately turns pro and then, finds her way.
Yeah.
All good stuff.
Anything else, guys?
KVV had a drive-by on Brooke yesterday on our Slack. He said Brooke Hendo hitting 10 and 14 fairways and shooting +9. It's impressively bad iron play and putting. And I was just like, it sounds like me, right? That's, but it just goes to show you this place isn't easy from the middle of the fairway even. You gotta really control your spin. I heard from a lot of people on the ground that there were a lot of issues with wedges ripping off the front of greens too, off of some of these false fronts too. So it's not just, hey, firm greens, balls bouncing over. It's there's some receptiveness too. And you gotta control your spin, which is, kind of testing all elements of your wedge play and your iron play. So.
Of course, it's a USGA event. They have the best media team around. Shout out to everything they got going over there. They hire the best freelancers, the best editors. It's truly an awesome follow via Instagram or X or whatever, just seeing the guys. And I will say this, this is Hafer, Christian Hafer. This is his home course. This is where he lives. And he's out there shooting. I don't know if he's doing it for the USGA this week or if he's doing it.
I don't
for
think he is. I think
tournament.
he's just doing it on
or maybe for the club or whatever. But
Yeah.
like this image right here that I have up on screen right now will be the defining image, what I remember for the rest of this year, and probably a lot of like, you know, the whatever ends up with this Nelly run and where she ends up of this happening. And it's just a cool, like, if you're a photography geek like I am, there's no way in hell I'd ever be able to capture this image. But having it out there, you know, he hypes this course all the time, and having it be like, you know, showcase the way that it is, I think it's really cool. So shout out to Hafer.
Amen.
Good shit, guys. Good episode. Thank you, everybody watching. Thank you, listening. Check out coverage this weekend. It's going to be, you got to chase it a little bit, but between Peacock and NBC and a little bit of USA Sunday, you'll be able to find
welcome.
it. It's going to be absolutely pristine weather. The conditions are unbelievable. So have a weekend. On our way out, I want to shout out our concluding episode of Tourist Sauce is going to be this coming Wednesday. That's going to be Wednesday night, 9 p.m. if you want to be part of the premiere. It's been an amazing season. We've been augmenting what you see on YouTube. If you're a Nest member, we've been releasing, you can kind of think of it as like director's cut, kind of some bonus content with us explaining some stuff, which has been a lot of fun. We'll have that for the final episode. On nolayingup.com, we had a good article this week from Connor Belcastro, who has just finished up his playing career at Princeton. He's going to be writing a bit for us. He has something called the Eye Test Manifesto, which was a very fun read. Of course, check out the Pro Shop. The Trap Draw, I want to give a shout out to. We were talking baseball this week. TC and I are doing a chop session next week. The Booth Boys, Cody and Neil, were in last week. It's a great place to go for all non-golf talk. And then, guys, anything I'm missing? Anything I need to plug otherwise?
Watch the US Women's Open. Watch the US Open. We'll be back Sunday night.
And we'll be here live Sunday night.
I would say watch the US Women's Open and tell your friends too as well. It's basically to me, this isn't like a women's golf tournament. This is just a golf tournament. Yeah. Like there's no, like, we don't have to differentiate.
Better ones like any tour anywhere all year.
Yeah, like this is just going to be one of the better golf tournaments of the year. So get your friends to watch it. And I think they'll like what they see.
Amen. Cody is not going to be here Sunday. He's going to be taking the kiddos down to Disney World. So we pray for Cody as he navigates the Magic Kingdom. We will miss you Sunday. But again, thank you, everybody. And we will be back Sunday night.